Hey YouTubers, this is Bill with Resellers Over 50. It's Sunday morning and I'm on a drive between my town of Jensen Beach, Florida, and I'm going to Port Canaveral, Florida, and my daughter and I are going to have lunch. She's passing through to Port Canaveral. She doesn't live there, she lives elsewhere. She's in the Navy in flight training. So we have an opportunity to have lunch. So I said, I'd love to meet you. And she said, absolutely. So we're going to have a little daddy-daughter visit today and hang out for a couple of hours. And then I'll head back to my town. So I've already updated 160 listings this morning. I've done my customer service for eBay. I had to do some measurements, answer some questions. Normally what happens when I get questions about measurements is this. We photograph all of our clothing items with tape measures in the photos, and we also put those in item specifics. But you'll find on your eBay journey that a lot of people will look at a photo or two and say, I want that. They won't read the item specifics for measurements. They won't look in the photos for measurements, even though we give them the reference in the item description. We say, hey, here are the ways that you can find the measurements. They're in the item specifics, and they're actually in the photographs of the item. But people are, they're kind of lazy and they don't want to do that, look at 10 photographs when they can look at 2. So frequently we'll get customers, potential customers, who'll say, hey, can you give me the rise on this pair of pants, or the true waist, or the true inseam, or what's the bust line on this, and how long is this garment, and so forth. So, we oblige because we want to provide good customer service. Even though the information's already there in the listing, we'll verify the numbers and make sure that they get what they need, the information they need to make a decision. So I answered a few of those, handled some sales, and now I'm on this 2-hour drive from town to town. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what it's like to be a reseller over 50 and why I believe the eBay business could be a great business for you. Whether you're in the beginning of your journey or you're more mature in your journey, like I am, for example, I still believe that this is a tremendous opportunity for people to make a few $100s a month, or, 10, 30, 40, $50,000 a month or more, depending on what your need and requirements are. Look, eBay business is not necessarily an easy business. It's not complicated. It requires your time, which is free, your effort, which is free. And in the beginning, it really doesn't even require that much money, which is almost free, because you could literally walk in every room of your home, whether that's an apartment, a townhouse, or a single family home, or even a mobile home, and literally find things to sell on eBay that other people need or want and will pay you good money for. So that's how I started my eBay journey. I sold items that I was no longer using, or my family were no longer using, and I put those up for sale on eBay, and they sold, and we made money on those. So every dollar that I make today is a result of money that I didn't have to spend to find products to sell on eBay, because I started with items that were in my home. What kind of items? Well, I'm a guy. I had tools. I had men's clothes, men's shoes. I had sporting equipment. I had watches. I had jewelry. And I had some home goods that I no longer needed, and I put those up for sale. I went through my closet, and I found shirts that I didn't wear anymore, or I grew out of because I got old and fat. And I put all those up for sale. I stopped wearing suits, so I sold all my suits and all my dress shoes and all those kinds of things. Literally, you could sell anything from CDs and toys that you had for your kids when they were growing up, to your own clothing that you no longer wear. eBay has so many different categories. You can sell all kinds of hunting and fishing gear and everything in between. I've sold tires on eBay. Believe it or not, I have shipped tires. When I changed sets of tires on my car, the old tires were still good, and I would sell those and ship those via UPS. And you can sell books. You can sell just about anything you can think of. You can sell it on eBay. So that's why I say that your return on investment in some categories can be infinity because your acquisition cost is zero. So whether you have cash or not to start your business, you can even, it doesn't really matter. You can be successful on eBay. You can even have a free user account. I think you can do 100 listings for free on eBay. So there's a tremendous opportunity to be able to get started and to develop a cash flow for you and your family with very, very, very close to nothing in terms of cash. So your time is free, your effort is free, and to get started is basically free to be able to sell things on eBay. Now, what's after that? Well, you want to be able to develop a budget. And if you're looking to eBay to support you on a monthly basis and a yearly basis, you want to make sure you have your expenses in alignment. You understand what you need and what you want to have in terms of cash flow to cover your requirements on a monthly basis. And these are super important to understand so that as you go to expand and grow your business, you want to be able to claw back or withhold money to have it available to pay those bills. Now, my recommendation is that you wait as long as you can possibly wait before you withdraw money from your eBay business. Why is that? Well, the longer you can wait, the more money you can accrue to be able to reinvest that money into escalating your purchases to be able to sell bigger and more expensive and therefore more profitable items on eBay. It's very difficult to buy a dollar item and sell that for $5 or $6, and after your, let's say, 20% fees, to be able to make a substantial living unless you're selling a tremendous amount of volume. So as a goal, you can have a high profit, lower volume business, or you can have a high volume, lower profit business. It's very difficult to combine the two and get a high volume, high profit business. But when you do, that's a home run. And I would encourage you to strive for that. Probably one of the best ways to do that is to have reusable items, people that will buy over and over again, so that they, have those at their disposable items to them, and they use them up, and they need to buy more. And I heard a gentleman say, "Hey, look, I'm not in the sales business. I'm in the rebuying business," which means his customers are rebuying, and he's supplying them over and over again. It was interesting. I'll give you an example. I was selling a lot of yeast. That's right, baker's yeast, and selling it at huge markup and huge volume. Actually, I was selling that on Amazon and eBay, but more on Amazon. When you find a hot product on Amazon, that bell is going off continually all day and all night. And that turned out to be a high volume, high margin business because I could buy the strips, the 3-pack strips of yeast, Fleischmann's yeast, for like $1 or $1.05. Sometimes on sale for 89 cents or 99 cents, something like that. But for a 3-pack, I could sell that for $10 or more. And then when I discovered the 1-pound bags and 5-pound bags, the markup on those were even higher. And what I also found was that it wasn't just homemakers buying yeast. There were bakers, bakeries, professional bakeries, beer and wine makers, high school and university professors needed to buy yeast for their classrooms as instructional items, and also plumbers and people who had their own septic systems bought yeast in various amounts of quantity to use on their septic systems. So I only initially considered yeast as an item for people who wanted to make their own bread, and maybe a few other things. But the market was much, much bigger than I thought. And once we plugged into Amazon, I think we sold a little over $200,000 of yeast in about a 6-month period, which was a super high volume, super high profit margin item. And those items are they're around. You just have to look for them and find them and realize the opportunity that's available if you just do a little bit of what the kids call hustle. And it's very, very exciting proposition when that happens. So I'm principally a clothing and shoe seller. I also do sporting equipment, sporting goods. And I used to be an everything seller, so that I was trained, I learned because of trial and error and studying, watching videos like this, educational videos, what to buy and what not to buy in a variety of categories. Now I'm a little bit more specialized. I have multiple niches right now, and I'm always open to the possibility of grabbing something that would be sort of a high profit item. For example, softball and baseball gear. I don't normally carry that stuff, but I'm a student enough of the business to know that if I walk by a rack of baseball or softball bats, there could be some really great items in there that could resell for $4, $5, $6, $7, $800. Yes, for bats. Now, when I grew up as a little kid, I started playing baseball in the 60s and the 70s. We used wooden bats. And I don't know what they cost, but they didn't cost very much back then. A few bucks, I would imagine. I cut grass and shoveled snow and had money to buy my own equipment, but I don't remember what it cost. It wasn't a lot. And now can you imagine that parents are shelling out $600, $700, $800 for a baseball bat? Seems absurd to me. However, that's the time. That's the time that we live in. And so as a reseller, when I'm going to a place to look for items to buy for my business, even though I'm not a bat specialist, in other words, I can identify by looking up what the value is of a bat. And I know that bats are valuable. I don't know off the top of my head which bats are better than other bats. But I'm schooled enough to know that I'm not going to walk by a $700 bill just because it's not in my primary area of specialization. And as a reseller, you want to be able to have, this is my belief now, you want to have a breadth and depth in whatever categories you're going to work in, but also have the knowledge that if you walk by a bunch of cameras or remote controls or specialized linens, that you know enough to say, hey, wait a minute, let me check this out, because there could be hidden value here that is not apparent to everybody else that's walking by this stuff. And it only takes a few seconds. You can look up an item that you're not familiar with in 30 seconds or less. 30 seconds if you're just taking your good old time. So there is hidden value, and our job as a reseller is to seek that out, seek that value out. And this is why, as a senior citizen, I believe, one of the reasons that I believe that eBay is such a tremendous business, because most of us, when we're in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, the thing that we have more than probably any other commodity is our time. So we could take the time to invest and explore. It's really exciting because when you look at it as just a transaction of a commodity, there's, on its surface, not a lot of value necessarily in that. But if you take it a step further, you begin to realize that it's also an educational process. It's an opportunity for you to learn something new that you might not already know about, or, that's very exciting in itself, or quite the opposite could be the case, which is, let's say that when you were in your 20s and 30s, or teens even, you had a hobby in photography. But, after a while, you kind of go on to other things. You find a profession, you get married, you have a family. And so your hobby sort of went by the wayside because you just didn't have the time to really utilize it as a profession or vocation. Now, here we are 20, 30, 40 years later. All the things you learned about photography can now come back into the fray in terms of your core functional skill set, because what you learned back then, a lot of it you probably still remember, but you can relearn it very, very easily and just become up to date on the technology because the technology's changed, and really put one of your prior passions to use. And there are tremendous opportunities in the photography category within eBay. And so that will be fulfilling all into itself in terms of you as a reseller and being able to apply something that you knew and probably loved and were passionate about many, many years ago, and be able to bring that into life again in your eBay business today. So that's just one example. There are thousands of examples where you can become intellectually charged and feel very good about yourself in a particular area or two or three. And I'm constantly being reminded of the things that I did as a young boy, as a child, that I had great pride in, enjoyed as a little kid. Maybe not pride is the right word, but I had, a lot of fun doing. And, all the things all the toys and stuff that I played with as a kid in the 60s are, high value items today. Trading cards, for example, of all those different sports are tremendously valuable today. And, we would take baseball cards. Now, I grew up in the city of Pittsburgh, so we would go down to the ballpark, get autographs from all the players of the day. So, like in my case, Roberto Clemente and Willie Stargell and all the players that would come into Pittsburgh, the visiting teams from, New York and San Francisco and California and all those great places. And, we would put those cards, get them signed, and then put them on our bicycles. And, they would twirl around on the spokes and make a cool noise as you rode your bike. Or you get autographs on your baseball glove and you put nail polish over that autograph. And that'd be the glove you'd practice with and play with. And now, it would be unheard of to do that now because the autograph is so valuable. And so those are things that, passions that I had with little toys like G.I. Joe and Tonka toys and Hot Wheels and things. They were just normal toys back then, but they're so valuable today. So if I was inclined to want to explore that again, I could develop that as a niche opportunity. For those of you who are into Disney and you have kids that you take to Disney or used to take to Disney, the Disneyana category is very huge and very profitable for many, many people. So there's so many ways to fit eBay into your life, and a way to, in a sense, relive what you enjoyed while you were growing up, because you can get into those areas again. And all you have to do is invest your time and your effort and probably a little bit of creativity and develop a thriving business. So just to recap, I think reselling is a tremendous opportunity for senior citizens. There's so many ways to get into the business and stay in the business and make it profitable. So many categories to be able to explore. And look, if you're passionate about something or you really enjoy it, logic says that you're going to get better at it and want to succeed at it. And I really believe that. Now, I sell clothing and shoes mostly because I gravitate to that area. I've owned some men's clothing stores in the past, so I like that field. I like the fashion business, and I enjoy that. But I'm constantly able to move other items from other categories into my store and out of my store because I'm able to recognize good value for me and good value for the customer. I recently started selling perfumes and colognes because one of my distributors had some great deals on perfumes and colognes, and I recognized them early on, but I never really did anything about it. And then one day I just walked over to that section of the warehouse and I said, let me check some of this out. And so I found that I could buy something between $10 and $30 and sell it for $40 to $150. So there were tremendous opportunities for 300, 400, 700% return on my investment. And if you know anything about perfume and cologne on eBay, that stuff sells pretty quickly. And so there's just tremendous opportunities. You know, I don't wake up every morning and say, hey, let me go try to find some great cologne today. I don't even wear cologne myself because I have allergies, but I recognize the opportunity. And when it presents itself, I'm able to jump on that opportunity and provide value for my family, but provide value for customers. And so I just want to encourage you to explore your passions, align them with the categories that eBay has, where you can literally sell just about everything on eBay for a profit. And you're going to have a tremendous business that will grow and develop. It's not a fast way to get rich. It's not of a spend $10 today and make $1,000 tomorrow. That can happen, but it's really it's the outlier. It's not the norm. This is a business that takes hard work, planning. You got to be smart about how you invest your time and your dollars, but you got to work hard. You got to be consistent at it. I don't want to ever give the impression that I think eBay is an easy business or eBay is something that can be a successful endeavor because it's quote unquote a passive income opportunity. It is not a passive income opportunity. It's an action. eBay's an action word, baby. It's a verb. Let's go eBay today. That's what I'm going to do later. I did it this morning. I'm going to do eBay this afternoon. I'm going to make some money for my family. And it's a verb. You want to get that into your psyche. This is the way that you can create tremendous value for your family, tremendous value for your customers through the eBay platform. The great thing is about eBay is that you don't have to be a professional or a highly trained salesperson, because that's the part of the equation that eBay handles for us. They do marketing and they do sales. They match us as the sellers with the buyers on the eBay platform. That's why we pay 16% in transaction fees to eBay. And in my mind, that's well worth it, because they're finding sellers, millions and millions and millions of sellers, or buyers, excuse me, on the eBay platform every day and every month looking to spend money. eBay is a great place. It's where smart shoppers go to get great value on everyday items and unique items. And you can be a part of that. So my name is Bill. This channel is called Resellers Over 50. If this has been of value to you, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and tell all your friends. I want to take this eBay journey with you to provide my experience, strength, and hope about this business, give you the advice that I've been taught and I've learned from my experiences over the last 5 years. And I hope this has been valuable use of your time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.